welcome back to Banana Recaps.
Today, I'm going to recap a 2021 Korean romance comedy movie called Sweet and Sour. This movie tells the story of a couple who faces the hurdles of maintaining a long-distance relationship amidst their packed working hours. Even though one of them apologizes, their relationship still doesn't work out. A new third wheel comes into their relationship and changes the supposed result in an unexpected way. So, what are the hurdles that they face? How does the third wheel manage to influence their relationship? Let's find it out. The movie starts with Hyeok, who is hospitalized due to his hepatitis. Due to the illness, which is believed to be contagious, he is teased by his parents and the other patients often. Da-Eun, as a nurse, usually takes care of his needs and will defend him from the bullies. As they spend their time together, Hyeok develops a feeling towards her. At one time, he meets her and asks her about her ring. She says that it's only a graduation ring and that she is not married or engaged. After that, she utilizes his feelings towards her and visits him to eat his food and sleep in his chamber. Seeing her condition, Hyeok gladly takes care of her by sparing his food and watches over her as she sleeps during the work hours. During lunch, he says something rude to her and she becomes mad at him. Before Hyeok is able to apologize, his conditions become better and he is discharged. Hyeok visits the hospital once more to look for her, but she is on leave. Fortunately, he manages to get her phone number instead and decides to call her. Hyeok was hesitant at first but is able to confess his feelings to Da-Eun. That night, Da-Eun invites him to her house. Without further thought, he rushes there with his father's car and they end up spending the night together. In the morning, Hyeok wakes up early and cooks some breakfast. He also changes Da-Eun's broken light bulb, which makes her cry gratefully. She kisses him to say thank you, but he misunderstands it. Unfortunately, she is not in the mood of nurturing a relationship at the moment. After that event, they become closer and Hyeok regularly visits her in the hospital and her house to take care of her. Hyeok also picks her up from the hospital with his dad's car to keep her away from a doctor who flirts with her. When they are having dinner, Hyeok realizes that she is not wearing her graduation ring anymore and she admits that she has lost it. During one of his visits, Da-Eun invites Hyeok to go to Jeju, saying that someone gives her a vacation package. As they depart for their trip, she gives him running sneakers as a present. Feeling thankful for the present, Hyeok promises to lose some weight and go to Jeju again next year with a leaner body. He tries to run with the new sneakers and has achieved a leaner body after some time. Then, he moves into Da-Eun's house and continues to take care of her. Hyeok, who is working as a construction engineer, gets promoted. However, he must transfer to Seoul and work as a contract employee first before being assigned as a full-timer. He is happy to hear it and decides to persuade Da-Eun to let him achieve his career, since Seoul is quite far from their house in Incheon. Seeing that Da-Eun is hesitant in letting him go, he buys a new car and says that he will commute from the house to his new workplace every day. He also gives her an engagement ring because she hasn't had one since she lost her graduation ring. Finally, Da-Eun agrees to his transfer and Hyeok starts to commute every day. In his new workplace, Hyeok meets Bo-young, who is also a transfer. She is very competitive since they are both contract employees fighting for the same spot. Her competitiveness makes her a toxic colleague for Hyeok and he complains a lot about her every day to Da-Eun. Hyeok becomes obsessed to get his revenge on Bo-young and ignores Da-Eun, who reminds him of their next trip to Jeju. During one of the meetings, Hyeok points out a grave mistake in Bo-young's bridge design, which makes him succeed in getting his revenge. The higher-ups decide that Hyeok and Bo-young should work together in finishing the project. Hyeok, who is still annoyed with her toxicity, doesn't help her and teases her design over and over. That night, Bo-young works overnight and Hyeok leaves her to come home. Hyeok is trapped in the traffic and ends up sleeping right away without spending his time with Da-Eun. Seeing his sacrifice, Da-Eun lets him stay in Seoul for the weekdays and meet her on the weekends. In the morning, he finds Bo-young, who didn't have any sleep due to the target. She decides to spend another night in the office and Hyeok pities her. He starts to help her in her designs that night. In the meeting, the higher-ups commend them for the progress and show that they are promising candidates for a full-timer. Having fulfilled his project, Hyeok comes home to meet Da-Eun, but her schedule just got shuffled and she needs to work that night. She apologizes and asks him to change a broken light bulb in the house. In the office, Bo-young starts to flirt with Hyeok since they need to work together for the upcoming projects. So, they start to spend their night together in the office to catch up with the deadline. Hyeok also starts to take care of her sloppiness to preserve her public image. Da-Eun starts to realize that Hyeok spends more time with Bo-young instead of her, and is afraid of losing him. She needs to tell him something important, but Hyeok is pulling an all-nighter with Bo-young, so they reschedule their meeting for the next day. However, Hyeok grabs a drink with Bo-young instead, under the pretense of celebrating their success. He lied to Da-Eun saying that he cannot make it again tonight because he is hanging out with his new boss. Da-Eun is disappointed and chooses to keep it silent. To add to her dilemma, Da-Eun sees that Hyeok hasn't changed the broken light bulb too. Once again, Bo-young tries to flirt with Hyeok, but he reluctantly leaves instead to meet Da-Eun. Hyeok is trapped in the traffic again and is annoyed since he has to do house chores as soon as he gets home. Both Da-Eun and Hyeok are tired due to overwork and they get into a fight. Da-Eun complains that he also hasn't changed the light bulb unlike what he promised. She adds that he only comes home to sleep and not to spend time with her. Hyeok replies with profanity and it saddens Da-Eun. She reveals that she is pregnant with their child. The news is not welcomed by Hyeok and they decide to abort the baby. Hyeok takes a leave and accompanies Da-Eun to the clinic. Seeing that Hyeok is not enjoying his time, Da-Eun lets him wait in the car. Due to the abortion, Da-Eun feels so down and Hyeok tries to comfort her. However, his phone keeps on ringing due to the unfinished project and Da-Eun sacrifices herself once more and lets Hyeok go to work instead. Deep inside, Da-Eun is sad since his boyfriend is not the same as he used to be. Hyeok cannot focus on his work and his relationship due to the unending work and commute. When they hang out, Da-Eun realizes that Hyeok is reluctant to spend his time with her. She questions his love towards her and Hyeok disappoints her when he calls her pretty Bo-young instead of her name. She asks him about Bo-young and Hyeok insists that she is just a coworker. As a result, they break up that night. In the office, Hyeok receives a package from Da-Eun, containing the engagement ring that he gave her. Hyeok doesn't care about it and continues to nurture his relationship with Bo-young. They even kiss and spend the night together that day. Convinced in their separation, Hyeok messages Da-Eun saying that he won't be going and that she can take whoever she wants to Jeju. Hyeok is confused to see that her social media status is still the same as it used to be when they are together. Afterwards, Hyeok is continuously reminded of their trip to Jeju. Despite Hyeok's and Bo-young's effort in completing the project, the higher-ups decide that none of them will be promoted to be a full-timer. They spend their last celebration night with the firm before going back to their own previous workplace. Upon scrolling through his phone, Hyeok is reminded by his promise with Da-Eun to spend their Christmas in Jeju. Hyeok rushes to the airport that night to meet Da-Eun. Suddenly, he bumps into another person and falls. Turns out, that person is actually the fat Hyeok who we saw running in the airport at the earlier scenes. Da-Eun met Leen Hyeok 1 year and 7 months ago and fell in love with him. She flirted with him and bought him the same matching sneakers. She also spent Christmas in Jeju with Leen Hyeok and decided to go there every Christmas. After their trip, Leen Hyeok started to work in Seoul and had an affair with Bo-young. Meanwhile, Da-Eun met Fat Hyeok 3 months ago. The ring that Fat Hyeok asked about is actually the engagement ring that Leen Hyeok gave to Da-Eun. When their relationship was breaking down, Fat Hyeok was always there to comfort her. Due to her pregnancy, Da-Eun needed to eat and sleep a lot, which is why she sneaked into Fat Hyeok's chamber to eat and sleep. She was mad at Fat Hyeok when he said something rude because Leen Hyeok had been treating her that way. When she was feeling down after the abortion, Fat Hyeok called her and confessed his love, so she invited him to come. His action of changing the broken bulb really replaced Leen Hyeok's place in her heart. When Leen Hyeok couldn't come due to his work, Fat Hyeok was there to spend his time wholeheartedly with her. She told Fat Hyeok that she lost her graduation ring, but the reason is that she has broken up with Leen Hyeok and sent the ring back to him. Leen Hyeok gave up on their trip to Jeju, so Da-Eun invited Fat Hyeok to go instead. She also bought the same matching sneakers for Fat Hyeok to motivate him. After all that, Da-Eun decides to forget Leen Hyeok, and pretends to not recognize him and continues their trip to Jeju. Leen Hyeok is mad at Da-Eun for dumping him and comes back to Bo-young. He even tries to propose to Bo-young but she rejects him. He rethinks his past to find a person he can blame, and concludes that it is his old boss's fault who transferred him to Seoul and made him break up with Da-Eun. In the end, he laments his misfortune for not getting both his love and dream job. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and